don't go live yet. I was just testing it out. Make sure.
You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Magic said they wanted to play at a faster pace. They certainly feel like they are, but they turn it over. Fourth turnover of the game. Brown right back down the other way. Brown makes it alone, rising to the occasion, and it's a two-point game.
Corey Joseph on skate.
There's another look at Jaylen Brown.
Real quick. Oh, Corey Joseph. Ain't nothing over there for you, my boy, as Jaylen Brown goes to the bat. Corey Joseph, excuse me.
Another look at Jaylen Brown.
Real quick. Oh, Corey Joseph. Ain't nothing over there for you, my boy.
Tea time's ready for the Orlando Magic. See ya. Valiant effort. Celtics win 120-89. We'll get into it. We got father-son battles in the NBA playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs doing what Toronto always does. They're blowing it. We got so much to discuss and what is going on with Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson. We're going to cover it all today here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for checking out the show. Beautiful start to the day here in Fort Myers. Kind of cool this morning. Open the lanai doors a little bit. Pretty good. Shut the AC off at least for a few hours. Not bad. Thanks for following me on our incredible video platform here. Follow me at Twitter, at X at PShep326, on YouTube, Kick, Rumble, CSN Florida, LinkedIn, our own awesome sports radio app, SR1029. The game, SR1029thegame.com, and call or text the show 727-858-6650. My goodness, we got a lot to get into. Not to mention home run derby in their respective games yesterday for the Red Sox and the Yankees. They didn't play each other, but they are massive. The Red Sox had 3 in the first, and the Yankees had 4 in the first, as the top 2 teams in the American League East are hitting the ball very well. We'll do an MLB rundown. Lots of NBA playoff action to tell you about. An absolute choke job by the Milwaukee Bucks. Those of you in Milwaukee listening, hello. Hello. Madison, hello. In Wisconsin. You can say bye-bye to Giannis Antetokounmpo, because he'd be gone. You won't be seeing him play in Milwaukee anymore, and I suspect that Doc Rivers will probably be fired. If not by the end of the day, maybe even by the end of the show. Once again, I think they're 1-9 in the last. The choke job that was the Milwaukee Bucks yesterday, from beginning jumping out to a huge lead to the end, was amazing. Up by 7 with like 40 seconds to go, and they lost the game. But we're going to get into it. We're going to get the reaction, the fight that happened after. Well, not a fight, but a near brouhaha, because John Halliburton, the dad of Tyrese Halliburton, embarrassed himself, embarrassed his son by going onto the floor with a white towel and trying to get into Giannis's face after a very, very, very tough loss. And it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. But we got the video for you. We'll have the audio for you. We have that. The Knicks continue. I picked Detroit in 7. I'm sticking with it. The Pistons getting it done once again yesterday, and also Denver jumped out to a lead last night, start to finish, and never looked back. To be honest with you, and then you have the Stanley Cup playoffs, just unbelievable. As Toronto just absolutely lays a fucking big, gigantic ostrich egg and loses at home 4-0. They should have been out of the series. They won 2 games in overtime that they easily could have lost. Easily could have lost because they were outplayed in those 2 games. They have been outplayed in every game except game 1. Outplayed in every game against same one. And they have, I won't say superior talent, but they're the more talented team. I can't wait to talk to my buddy Mick Colaggio at 8:30 about that. A big double overtime win for Carolina last night as well. So the Stanley Cup playoffs were huge. We're going to recap all of it. My guest today, Jay Flanley. We'll talk a lot of NFL coming up at right at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:30 we'll have Mick Colaggio on. But in between that, we've got a lot to discuss with the NBA postseason, Stanley Cup playoffs, what is going on with Jordan Hudson. It's a disturbing video, more video probably than you guys have seen with Jordan Hudson and on the field in North Carolina, and the behind the scenes, the part of it, sitting behind the desk doing that CBS interview that we really haven't had a chance to really delve into. I don't know what is going on with Bill Belichick, but this young lady, I got 2 words for you, honey. Simmer down. Simmer down. And I don't want her ruining my man's legacy. I don't. And I fear this is going down the dark side. This is Anakin Skywalker going to the dark side. Somebody has got to get a grasp of this situation, because Bill is doing things and allowing things to happen on the field, off the field, that he was always so against. And the one big thing, as we welcome in Angel Martinez, all the years that I got to interview him, myself and Glenn and Steve and Freddie. By the way, Glenn will be on the show with me tomorrow. The one thing he would always bring up is we don't want any type of distractions. Well, guess what? This is a distraction. I don't know what's going on officially or what. I don't begrudge the man for being in love with anybody. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. But this woman is handling him, and I've never thought I would see Bill Belichick be P-whipped. There's no doubt about it. And I don't know if something else is going on with him. That he's allowing this to happen. I don't get it, but I am very, very disturbed. But we'll get to the video and all that. We'll say good morning to Angel Martinez. Good morning, Angel.
Good morning, Pete. It is about 61 degrees here. We're going plus 30 this afternoon. Yep. 91 degrees here in the Tampa region. So yesterday says, I know Jerry loves to hear us on the boat in the morning and talk about how much you guys suck, but
they've had good weather up there lately. Some pretty good weather, but they know it's almost, I mean, tomorrow's May 1st. I can't believe we're April 30th.
I know.
So they're almost out, at least in New England, they're almost out of the snow stuff. You never know up in Vermont and Maine, late, something crazy could happen. Colorado, you never know. So our friends out in the Midwest, I mean, you should be snow-free. Although my cousins who live in South Dakota had a little mini snowstorm last week, dropped a few inches of snow on the ground, and then the next day it was like 72 degrees. Nope, not doing it. Anyway, good morning and welcome. So let's get right into the NBA. I don't know how much you got to watch last night, but I was all over everything. And my usual, bitchiness in the morning that I have to bitch it. I can't even bitch at ES. Oh, I'll bitch at ESPN for this. Once again, it has been 2 days, Angel, 2 days. And they have yet, at least in the first hour of the national morning radio show, refused to even acknowledge that the Celtics exist. It was bad enough they didn't say anything about after Tatum's unbelievable performance 2 games ago in 37. This morning again, just absolutely dismissive. Spent a half an hour on the Pacers and John Halliburton, Tyrese Halliburton, Giannis Antetokounmpo. They spent a half hour on that, and not that it didn't deserve time. Then they talked about the Knicks, of course, and it's just unbelievable how they will not engage anybody with the Celtics. Oh, and then they decided to say, well, we've been told that Cam Ward is not getting enough coverage on this network. So then they gave some horse shit, bullshit type of thing. Who should Cam Ward be up compared to? I really hate that stuff that ESPN does. I think it's laziness. And they throw that kind of stuff out there. It really pisses me. Who should Cam Ward be compared to? How about Cam Ward? You want to compare him to somebody coming? I mean, my God, I just like, and they try to throw this narrative down your throat and make you try to make you believe that they actually watched him play, and they haven't. With probably very few exceptions, all three of them on the panel. Even though Canty's a former Super Bowl champion, and I like his style and everything else. I don't know how much Miami Hurricane football he watched, or college football for that matter. I don't know how much anybody at ESPN watches college football except for the college game day crew. It's blatantly obvious. All Stephen A. does is scream Alabama, Alabama. You know, he's got no clue what he's talking about when it comes to college football. They don't watch the stuff that we watch. So they did that. So for 45 minutes, we got Pacer crap and great win by the Pacers. We got John Halliburton and Giannis Antetokounmpo. We got that for half an hour. We got Knicks and Detroit, and then we get the narrative of who should Cam Ward be compared to? Nothing about the Celtics, and nothing about Stanley Cup playoff action last night, which they never do. None of them watch hockey, as far as I know. But we're gonna get it all done here. Anyway, let's just get right to it, Angel. I'm gonna start with the audio clip here. The Celtics and my other bitch is. Last night, the first 4 minutes of the Celtics game was missed because the Milwaukee game went into overtime. Milwaukee and Indiana went OT. We'll get to the highlights in a second here. And instead of the game was supposed to start at 8:30, Angel, then they moved it to 8:51 because of the overtime. And then when 8:51 starts, around 8:53, they started the game. And I couldn't see it. Couldn't see the first 4 minutes on any platform because stupid. They kept NBA TV, another bunch of fucking geniuses over there. Horrible pre-halftime, post-game, almost worse than ESPN. It's awful. I can't even believe that was the game that was on. Of course, Indiana and Milwaukee was on NBA TV too, but they decided to put the Celtics in Orlando on because they think that would be less entertaining than the Knicks and Detroit. All right, whatever. Usually, I thought NBA TV had some sort of a deal. If a game goes into overtime, I thought in the past they've said, okay, you can watch Celtics Magic, say, on TBS. Now, TNT had the other games going on, so it wasn't going to be that. But I thought they had some arrangement, the NBA did. No, not last night. Nope. If you were a Celtics fan down here and didn't have the local package, this is another thing which I don't understand. I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but, I pay for the NBA package. I'm supposed to get now the NBA package after the first round. Everything is all the playoff games are national anyway, but you always had the option. Even the games that were on TNT and ESPN during the year, you have the option of going and looking on to the home or visiting broadcast crew. As far as I know, I'm still paying for it for this month, and I didn't see it. There wasn't anything. I couldn't find it. So I was pissed at the first 4 minutes of the game. I missed last night because stupid NBA TV kept it on. They were waiting for more of the altercation between John Halliburton and Giannis. And they kept pedantic blathering for an extra 5 minutes. And that cost me the start of the game as a person who wanted to see the Celtics and the Magic. So that sucked. And then the broadcast was terrible on the whole. And the post, I mean, it's just not TNT. I just have such high standards because of them, and they will have their reaction as well to what happened, not only during the game but after the game, which is what everybody seems to be talking about, and not really focusing on what happened during that game, which was really incredible last night because I don't know how Milwaukee lost that game, but they are the Toronto Maple Leafs lately of the NBA. They are the Toronto Maple Leafs of the NBA. They had no business losing that game last night, Angel, but somehow, some way they did it. And here's how it went down at the end.
7-point lead. Nembhard with a 3. Good. Still time to go. 4-point game. There's still life in the building. Halliburton attacking. And the foul. Here we go. Halliburton. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. Halliburton for the lead. 1.3 to go.
Yep, unbelievable. And 119-118. The Pacers were down by 7, Angel, with 37 seconds left. Now that is a choke job. Great hustle by the Pacers. That is you want to talk about choke jobs, that's one right there. They had a huge lead in this game. They jumped out to like a 26-9 lead. They were up big but by the second half, or by the end of the second quarter, I should say, it was all even. But goodbye, Doc, again. And I feel badly for him because I do like Doc, but he's gone. He'll be fired by he'll be fired by noon today. I have no doubt about that. And Giannis is going to go bye-bye. And then we'll get to what happened. But I don't know how much you get to see, but you talk about choke jobs. That was a choke job.
Well, Doc tried it with the Sixers. Obviously, it failed, unfortunately. And a lot of it wasn't his fault, but of course, he's going to take the fall for it. And it's going to be the same with the Bucks. I'm just more interested to see where Giannis is going to end up landing. Hopefully not on the West Coast.
Well, he might. I mean, it's certainly possible. It's certainly possible, but he's going to want out, and he'll force a trade, and it's going to happen. The Damian Lillard thing is unfortunate, but everybody thought it was going to be some sort of a magic time that they're going to. I said it from the get-go. It's not like that. It's like these Laker idiots with Luka. Just thinking he's going to go to LeBron and everything. They're just going to sweep and go through the playoffs. And I think Anthony Edwards is a better player than Luka Doncic, in my opinion. Kendrick Perkins actually brought that up the other day. I actually agree with him. Overall, I would take Ant-Man over Luka any day of the week and twice on Sunday because he plays defense sometimes when need be. He's more of a complete player. Not taking anything away from Luka's offensive prowess, and I know he was sick the other night and puking all over the place, and he still played because J.J. Redick's a jackass and played him the entire game without giving him a rest after the guy's puking all day. So I would have gone to J.J. Redick and thrown up on his shoes. Said, "Take that, coach. How about give me a blow for a little bit here? Let me sit down for a rest." But no, didn't happen. After the game, as you saw, I mean, Giannis was John Halliburton came down and. After the loss, and Giannis is sitting there lingering like everybody else in absolute shock. And John Halliburton runs onto the court, started talking to him. He went face to face. He brought a towel up to him, like I don't know what exactly was being said, but it was absolutely a classless act by Tyrese Halliburton's dad to do that. Ridiculous. The NBA has got to do something. Mommy and daddy, stay in your lane and stay in your seats. You don't get to come on the floor. Sorry, you do not get to come on the floor. So we'll see what the NBA does. After the game, Tyrese Halliburton on the confrontation with his dad and Giannis.
As far as the incident between Giannis and my pops, I had no idea it happened until I got to the back and was showed the video. Me and my pops have talked about that, and I don't agree with what transpired there from him. I think basketball is basketball, and let's keep it on the court. And I think that he just, got excited, saw his son make a game winner, and came on the court. But I think we had a conversation, and I think he just needs to just allow me to just play basketball, stay over there. I'll come to him to celebrate. But I think just the emotions of the game just got excited there. But I talked with him. I'll talk with Giannis eventually about it. Just, I don't think that my pops was in the right at all there. And unfortunate, what happened in the end there. But, I mean, this series was a lot of war of words, a lot of war of antics, a lot of stuff going back and forth. And that's just part of, this rivalry and what we've built here over the last couple of years. And, it's unfortunate what happened there, but I think it's just competition. And as far as my pops, again, I don't agree with what happened there. We'll have a conversation. Everybody's grown men, and we'll just go from there.
Rivalry? I think not. Not when Indiana is 8-1 in the playoffs against and even the regular season. I think they beat them 3 times this year. But not much of a rivalry when one side wins 8 out of the last 9 games. Here's Giannis Antetokounmpo afterwards. He talked about his own dad and his humble roots after Tyrese Halliburton's dad confronted him.
I don't really see you as someone that gets into it with people after the game. It looked like you were kind of standing there by the three-point line, then all of a sudden you're in the middle of kind of everything. Just what happened kind of out on the floor after the game?
Nothing. And this is the last time I'm going to say. I won't talk a lot. We lost the game. It doesn't really matter. One thing I'll say is that I believe like being humble in victory. That's how I am. Now there can be a lot of people out there that are like, no, when you win the game, you gotta tag it, and it's a green light for you to be disrespectful towards somebody else. I disagree. I've won the championship. They haven't. Okay, and that doesn't even say anything. I'm not trying to minimize their effort, but I remember when I won, my mom that she's never missed the games from February 11th or 13th when she came in Milwaukee against the Knicks. She never missed a game. When we won the championship, I remember my mom, she was scared to cross. She was like, am I allowed to come and hug my son? I see, except now my brother does media. For this year, he wants to come back and play. But except in that, you've never seen my family see courtside. See, this is not something that we do. We don't. I try to keep my family away from the game. But losing the game, emotions run high. Having a fan, which at the moment I thought he was a fan, but then I realized it was Tyrese's son, which I love. Tyrese, I think he's a great competitor. He was his dad, sorry. Coming in the floor and showing me his son a towel with his face. This is what we do. This is what we effing do. This the F we do. This. I feel like that's very, very disrespectful.
All right, you get the idea, and it was disrespectful. It's childish, and played a lot of sports in my life at a very low level, obviously. But thank God, my parents were great. All they did was they would just root for the team, and there was never anything derogatory that ever came out of their mouths about anybody or any of my friends who were on other teams and all that stuff. But I'm talking, hockey, basketball, baseball, anything they came to. All they did was clap. Win, lose, or draw. That's all they did was clap and be humble about it. It's just freaking childish. What happened there with John Halliburton. If we could, Angel, scroll down onto my Twitter, NBA on TNT. This is the debate went on even after Hall and Giannis's post-game comments. The debate went on even after hearing Halliburton and Giannis's comments.
Does your view change now that you've heard that?
No, because
and you saw the towel?
I don't care. It comes with the territory.
It does not.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So what would? Okay, I'm asking you a question. If it comes with the territory, and a fan or a dad comes up to you after you win and puts a towel in the face and curses at you, what would you have done?
I played 19 years.
What would you have done?
Listen, you can't do nothing because we're not allowed to do anything. I played 19 years. That happens plenty of times.
It does not happen when a family member's on the court as you celebrate.
A fan. Yes, it does. A fan. Yes, it does.
That does not happen. And see, the thing that bothers me about it.
It does. Hold on, Kenny. When we lost to Houston, you don't think people had brooms going to the locker room hitting us with freaking brooms?
That ain't the same as one.
It is the same thing. It's a fan. He's a fan. Forget he's a fan. He's a fan.
It's not the same thing.
It comes
you think just because you said something, you yell to make it true. It don't make it true.
It does
the thing that bothers me, Ernie, the thing that bothers me, if Giannis had to whoop his ass, Giannis would be in trouble. No fan should come on the court harassing a player during the game.
No, they don't.
Not come on the court. And so I will say that if they do all the time or if they don't all the time,
you're just soft.
Because you pay for a ticket, doesn't entitle you to be on the floor.
It doesn't matter. It comes with the territory. He lost. He lost. Get up out of there. Listen, he lost. Get up out of there.
If you have access to get there, doesn't make it right, and you're not entitled to. You're not entitled to interrogate, or I mean, not interrogate, to antagonize. Players. That is not right. He is 100% wrong.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying don't be a punk and whine about it. It comes to the territory, it happens, you move on.
He didn't whine about it.
You lose and you move on.
No, that's not. And you know what's really amazing, Ernie? And let me tell you what another thing bothers me. If the Cavaliers were to beat them, and one of their family members did that to his son, he'd blow a gasket. He would blow a gasket. If the Cavaliers beat the Pacers and one of their
Mitchell's dad did that.
came out there and started, Halliburton's dad would go crazy because he knows that's
we like his dad, but that's
you're supposed to go crazy. But hey, man,
I'm glad Halliburton.
But there's a difference between being excited about winning the thing and then getting into somebody's face.
I don't care what y'all talking about. It comes with the listen. I done played 19. I done went to Ole Miss and Mississippi State where they do a lot of stuff.
And they were wrong too.
But it doesn't matter.
Right. And they were wrong too.
It comes with the territory, and you don't hear me whine about it. When I lose, I go home and regroup and come back. That's all I'm saying.
Shaq. I mean, I can't believe what I'm hearing out of him. This is a different situation. A guy comes out of the stands, the son of a great player, the Pacers, and you come up to somebody and tell him, and Shaq, you're saying that happens all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. I'm really surprised at him. So good for Chuck and Kenny for holding the ground. Shaq, you're way off base on this one. Sorry, buddy. Love you, but you're way off base. That it's absolutely unacceptable. The NBA is going to have to do something about it. And the fact that Tyrese Halliburton is a more established player than say some other guy coming off the bench, I mean, they should do something about it.
Yeah, I've never seen that. I mean, maybe where Shaq played, maybe in LA, but I've never seen a fan come on to the floor with a broom and hit him with a broom because they got swept. I've never seen that.
If he talked about guys getting over the stands and whacking them, I'm sure that's happened, but that's not coming onto the floor. I'm sorry. I mean, now we've all seen how many times fans rush the floor. You know, tons of NBA and baseball footage and football footage in my lifetime. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a guy's dad coming up and getting in the face of Giannis Antetokounmpo with a towel, F-bombing all the way like some idiot, and this is how we do things here. But I mean, just go away. I mean, it's absolutely unacceptable. I'm glad Tyrese Halliburton addressed it the way he did. Came off very classy, unlike his dad, which is sad to say. Really is unbelievable. All right. But anyway, the Pacers come back and down 7 with 37 seconds to go. And when, by the way, here's Giannis's, here's the final shot.
Turner on Giannis. Giannis backing in. Spinning. Jumper doesn't go. Overtime in game 5. A chance to win it in regulation. Too strong. Overtime.
Yeah, I meant to say in regulation, and I thought that was in. When he threw that up, I thought it was in, and it was over, and they would but it wasn't, and then it's just amazing. Down 7, the Pacers, with 37 seconds left, and they come all the way back and win. I told you about the Celtics closing out Orlando, 120-89. But I mean, they were down by 2 at halftime. They were down by 9. The Celtics were in this game at one point early on, but it was they went into the locker room at halftime. They were 0 for 6 from 3. It was unbelievable, and he knew the barrage was coming. It just was a matter of time. It just goes to show you how good they can be. They didn't make any threes in the first half. They were 0 for 6, I believe, and they're so deep. They can finally the NBA TV crew said, yeah, well, this team can beat you with just shooting twos. They're down by 2 at halftime. They came back. And in the third quarter, as usual, just absolutely pummeled the Orlando Magic, outscoring them 36-13. 36-13. And in the fourth quarter, 37-27. For those of you who bet the over last night, good for you. But it was Tatum with 35, 8, and 10. He's just been unbelievable. Jaylen Brown, 23, 6, and 3 as well. Al Horford, all over the place with a pedestrian 9 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, but it's so much more than that. Porzingis, the same thing, only 9 points and 2 rebounds. Derek White, 5 points, 4 rebounds. Hauser had 10 off the bench. Pritchard had 10 off the bench. Cornette had 9 off the bench. They're just that deep. And even when things aren't going well, and I give Orlando a lot of credit because they played some great perimeter defense against the Celtics in this series. They really have. But they need guard help. Wagner was good. Wagner was good. Banchero is obviously a great player. But they need help. Orlando's a player, maybe a player or two away from being a real serious contender. No question about that. Elsewhere, Detroit and the Knicks, a really good game. The Knicks still lead the series 3-2. But let's see, here is the final.
Second one, it's off, knocked up in the air, battle, knocked outside, nobody there for New York. And Detroit basketball stays alive. The Pistons defeat the Knicks at the Garden, 106-103 to force a Game 6.
Yep, thanks to TNT with the call right there. They have it 106-103. Detroit wins, and if they hadn't got robbed in the game before that, they would have closed them out with that win, but didn't happen. They go back to Detroit, and more likely than not, I think they'll win that game and force a Game 7 back in New York. So we shall see. Denver over the Clippers, 131 to 115. Here's a great secret. DeAndre Jordan, remember him?
Now Hart trying to get away from his old teammate Westbrook. Blocked by DeAndre Jordan. Murray's got it. He's off to the races, and he puts it away. Nuggets 112-90.
And defensively, did Russell Westbrook know how to play hard? Blocked by DJ at the end. Kawhi was chasing, said, "Now let me have it." Nuggets 22 up, 8:58 to go in the contest.
Jamal Murray, by the way, was unbelievable last night, 43 points, and he has the most 40-plus point games in Nuggets playoff history, which he was surprised to learn that stat. Oop. The old file not found. Door is ajar. All right. Before we go to break, and then we'll come back and do Stanley Cup playoff rundown, and we're going to get to Bill Belichick and the new video that I found dealing with that interview on CBS and some other interesting parts of the video as well. We'll play that for you regarding Jordan Hudson and what is going on with her and Bill Belichick. But if we could, Angel, to scroll down. As always, there's shenanigans on TNT, NBA on TNT. So let's look right under the show, directly under the show. During halftime of the Clippers-Nuggets game, it got we almost had another injury. Oh,
jeez. Hang on. Let me get this. Oh, hey, stop it. There, start the video before I switch. Here we go.
Russell Westbrook is the definition of confidence. Confidence is the lack of fear in the things that you really aren't great at. Then you're confident. So Russell Westbrook. Came out of shoes, ladies and gentlemen. Came out of shoes. You not hitting me. Wait, get the picture of the feet.
I know, I don't need the feet. Here, put this on. Real quick.
Not this time.
Put it
never,
on.
Chuck. I will never lose.
Stop it, Kenny.
Never lose. Because I'm confident like Russell Westbrook. That's why. Russell Westbrook is the...
all right. Take a quick break here. Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Mass. is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. So head down to Phil Castanetti Sports World at 184 Broadway and get on down there now because they have purchased recently one of the greatest Boston Red Sox items in experience, a 1915 World Series Champions silk pillowcase. Only 3 known to still exist, and it has to be the nicest one still remaining. All the tassels still intact. The condition is amazing for being 110 years old. It'll be on display at Sports World for all to see. It's absolutely stunning. So get on down there at Phil Castanetti Sports World, 184 Broadway in Saugus. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. That's 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there. Stanley Cup playoff highlights. Lowlights if you're a Maple Leaf fan. Plus, a video, a little behind the scenes of what happened at CBS and some on-the-field stuff with Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick. What in the wide world of sports is going on with that? We're back talking about it after this right here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them, sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie. So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous, as in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
You're the least. You just don't want him to be coming out with all positive thoughts, at least plant one negative.
Marner back at the line. Riley sent that through. The last one goes to Marner in the final minute. Matthews tries to center. Sanderson breaks it up. Marner chops it across to keep it in. Stutzla out at center. There's Tkachuk. A couple of assists and now a goal for Brady Tkachuk, the captain. Fires in the fourth goal.
And all the little battles they've been able to block shots with, it has been what the Leafs were doing early on. Hey, this has been a defensive gem. All your key players are feeling good about themselves now. Your captain, who guarantees.
Oh, you could hear a pin drop last night in Toronto. They just got waxed at home in a closeout situation, which they have been pathetic at, especially the last decade. They are absolutely awful in closeout situations. And Ottawa wins 4-0. My man, Linus Ullmark, remember him, Bruins fans, gets his first career playoff shutout in the win. And now they go back to Ottawa, and this is exactly Ottawa should have already won the series. Should have won the series already. Lost a couple of heartbreakers in overtime where they clearly outplayed Toronto in every single game so far except for game one. Clearly outplayed them. Sheppard, Cousins gave the Senators a 2-0 lead. Stutzla and Brady Tkachuk added empty net goals for Ottawa in the end. They win by a score of 4-0. And this is where, if you have stock in Depends in Toronto, go buy it. Go buy it. It's going to go up because your Maple Leafs are doing poopy poops. Doing poopy pants again. Just like I thought. I told you. They're liable to be up. Did I bring this up to Mick? I said, Mick brought up all great points last week. And I said, you watch. This. They'll find a way to lose in some sort of other dramatic fashion. Up 3-0. As I said, we saw the Bruins do this in 2010 to your Philadelphia Flyers. But there's a special significance when Toronto will find unique ways to lose. And they are on the precipice of that happening again because if you're Toronto right now, you got to be absolutely flabbergasted. You got to be. This is going to be a tough one to shake off. And I expect Ottawa to come out tomorrow night and win that game too and send it back to Toronto for game 7. Another closeout. All these closeout situations for the Maple Leafs. They stink. I'm telling you, it does not matter. It just doesn't matter, as Bill Murray said. It just does not matter. All right. Meanwhile, go ahead.
You figured you had, I know Gabriel, we're hopefully have him out shortly, but he was saying, which is still far away, but he was saying it was going to be an all Canadian, basically Final Four, and in the finals would be all Canadians. But obviously, I don't believe that's going to happen. And who's our boy that was talking about
Paul Bissonnette. He hasn't really said anything the last. He's got to be completely embarrassed, and he's doing poopy pants too. Trust me. I don't know why these Maple Leafs people get so delusional every year until they actually prove it. They are crappy in closeout games. I mean, horrible stat. What, 1 in 15 or something like that? Their last, just absolutely crazy. Meanwhile, what a game last night in Carolina and Raleigh. Unbelievable game. Here's in the second period, Sebastian Aho.
You'll get it to Jarvis. Aho, Goss to spare, looking for a lane. Jarvis thought about teeing it up. Jarvis sided it, they score! Jarvis to Aho, a power play goal, and the Canes have tied it at
4. Goss in particular was willing to shoot. That's the sequencing. Now all of a sudden, Markstrom and company, they're anticipating a shot. And Aho moved his feet from being in the middle to being in a low one-time position.
Yeah, he did. That's from the FanDuel Sports Network, where the Carolina Hurricanes home broadcast crew is. Now here's the game winner on ESPN. Guess who? It's Aho!
Far side, back across. Too hard for Jarvis. Goss to spare with it once again. To the far circle. Stop! And sends the Hurricanes to the second round. Markstrom had stopped 45 consecutive shots.
Well, it wasn't the prettiest of power plays, but when you have 4 minutes, you have to remain patient. And the Hurricanes did just that. Eventually, they get the look that they want, and it's the one-timer from Aho on the...
Yeah, 5-4 double overtime win for Carolina, and the Hurricanes win the series 4-1. Speaking of double overtime, we head out west. Vegas and Minnesota tied at 2. We head to OT.
Pearson controlling the puck with his skates, kicks it along. It emerges. Nick Hague plays it behind the net, out in front. Score! It's over! Howden off the one-touch feed. Vegas wins it in overtime.
3-2 series lead. It all starts with a pinch down the wall from Hague, and Pearson, who was not in the lineup to start this series, makes a beautiful backhand pass right to Howden in his wheelhouse. He goes far side, top corner to end this one in overtime. Vegas, 3-2 series lead, has a chance to go to Minnesota Thursday and close this series out.
His second career playoff overtime game winner and his third goal of this series. He had a couple in the opener. Red Howden wins it. And now this series will go back Thursday to Minnesota.
Thanks to ESPN for that right there. 3-2, Vegas wins, and they lead 3-2. Edmonton and LA were tied at 1. These teams always play classic games in the playoffs every single year. We head to the third period.
Certainly does a great job vocalizing ice time. Where you're at on the ice. Do you have time? You got to play.
It's assuming he's going to retire ever. Arvidsson to the net. Rebound. They score! Matthias Janmark punches in the rebound. And the Edmonton Oilers have taken a lead in the third period.
And this, what you would call a fourth line, was terrific in game number 4. And why Wallman goes off the glove of Moore. Podkolzin picks it up. There's a little shot right there. And that just goes to show you and why you would put everything at the net. I mean, this is not a dangerous play whatsoever. But
No, it is not a dangerous play whatsoever. But they go on to add another goal, and it ended up being the final was 3-1 Edmonton over LA, and the Oilers now lead that series 3-2. But that's probably, in my opinion, also going to go 7. Now, the other big game coming up tonight in the state of Florida is an absolute, it's a huge game. Huge game coming up tonight between the Lightning, who are at home against the Florida Panthers. And in this series, the Lightning are down 3-1. Florida has absolutely dominated about 95% of these games. The Panthers, my man Brad Marchand had a couple of assists the other day. a couple of games ago. And Florida just really is. I think the Lightning are in serious trouble. Not going to shock me. I picked Florida to win this in 7. Not that Tampa can't come back. They can. Eklund not going to play tonight as well because of what happened. We'll get Ekblad, I should say. We'll get Michelangio's thoughts at the bottom of next hour. We'll really get into this series as well. But man, tonight, Florida and Tampa Bay on ESPN2 at 7:30. This should be a dandy, as they say. But Tampa Bay has got to find a way. They are getting out-physicaled all over the place. A couple of semi-dirty hits, I guess you could say. But look, it's a Stanley Cup playoffs. It's going to happen. And the Panthers are going to have a good chance to close this game out tonight. I really do. Tampa has got to find it, dig deep, and find it. Vasilevsky has not been great in this series so far. And the defending Stanley Cup champions, for all the hockey they have played the last 2 years, getting to the finals, and then getting now here in the first round and have a 3-1 lead. Man, very, very impressive, Paul Maurice. Very, very impressive. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk about that with Mick tonight. Also, the Canadiens and Capitals. Capitals will try to wrap it up tonight at home against Montreal. They lead that series 3-1. And then Jim Montgomery. Remember him, Bruins fans? And the Blues. That series is tied at 2. They are at Winnipeg tonight at 9:30 on ESPN. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm telling you, we're inching more and more. If it's ever Jim Montgomery's St. Louis Blues against Bruce Cassidy's Vegas Knights in the Western Conference Finals, Bruins fans are going to have a conniption. The two last coaches getting together in the Western Conference Finals. It is still I believe it's still a possibility. All right. We're going to get to a baseball rundown, but I know we have Jay Planley coming up at the top of the hour. We're going to have him on right at 8 o'clock, but I want to get this video in. Angel, if we could scroll down. This is with the Bill Belichick one. It's under Colin Rugg, and he just retweeted. This is all over the place. It's gone viral. So basically, Bill Belichick's 24-year-old girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, stormed out of the CBS interview at one point and expected him to follow. That's according to TMZ. Now, the couple went viral this weekend when Hudson interrupted Belichick's interview. The outlet says Hudson even interrupted and corrected the coach when he was answering questions about football. Quote, even TMZ reported, quote, even when the legendary coach was answering questions about football, she would stop and correct him, unquote. Hudson reportedly delayed the interview by 30 minutes at one point when she stormed out of the room. And it's unclear still if Bill followed her. Now, here's a little video that was put together by somebody. It's girls just want to have fun on the other side. But I want you to really watch this. Watch closely about what is going on. There's some clips of her, the yoga thing, and then going on the field in North Carolina, and then the end of the CBS interview where she's off to a sidebar almost. And just, I don't understand what's going on here, but here, judge for yourself.
Jordan was a constant presence during our interview.
You have Jordan right over there. Everybody in the world seems to be following this relationship. They've got an opinion about your private life. It's got nothing to do with them, but they're invested in it. How do you deal with that?
Never been too worried about what everybody else thinks. Just try to do what I feel like is best for me and what's right.
How did you guys meet?
Not talking about this.
No?
No.
It's a topic neither one of them is comfortable commenting on.
What?
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Man, I'm at a loss. I am absolutely at a loss. And if the TMZ story is true, I know Barstool reposted some stuff. I'm just hearing some very disturbing things about what is going on down there at North Carolina and what kind of control and the way she is handling Bill and the way he's letting himself be handled by this person. I mean, I'm blown away. I'm blown away. I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, people are going to call her gold digger. They're going to call her all I know is the shit is going to come down on her sooner rather than later. You watch. I think she's opened up a gigantic can of worms by her arrogance, and people around here and people nationally, they are going to dig into her past, and they're going to, it's unfortunate maybe this shouldn't be done, but she is bringing this on herself. When he was his longtime girlfriend, Linda, back in the day, never, ever, Angel, was she ever on the field, except after games, whatever. Never was she. All the interviews we did at Gillette, myself, Glenn, Steve, and Freddie, never, not one time was she ever there. Not one time did he ever mention her as far as, football issues. They're saying that the word is she is having input into football issues. Now, the outlet says Hudson interrupted and corrected Belichick when he's answering questions about football. Now, I haven't seen the whole interview yet. I don't think anybody has, right? As far as I know, I don't think anybody has. But I can't wait to see that part. Like, what is she going to tell him about football? I'm blown away, Angel. I am absolutely floored.
Does she have any kind of resume as far as being an athletic coach somewhere? As far as when it comes to
I don't know, and I don't care. No, I know she was like a Miss something, not Miss America, but like on those lines, whatever state I forget. She won a pageant of some sort. I mean, I don't care if she does or she doesn't. It doesn't matter. She should not be on the field talking about football with him. It's unbelievable. Rick says, we're not talking about it. I'm talking about it. Absolutely going to talk about it.
My thing is, Bill has never, for years, all of us have seen him in the spotlight. You more than obviously us when we were in Philly, but we've never seen Bill have someone come up to him and tell him, hey, you should run this play, or you should do this, you should do that. Hold on, you're not going to.
I don't know if she's doing that, but all I know is she's going onto the field. She's fixing his jacket. I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable talking about it because I'm not going to ignore it. I think the entire world is talking about it. It just is. TMZ, the one thing we know TMZ does not do, they don't get stories wrong. When's the last time you saw a TMZ sports retraction because something was inaccurate? They get it right 99.9% of the time. They really do. And I'm hearing disturbing stories coming out of North Carolina about her just being way too much involved in what is going on down there with that football team.
But you're absolutely right. What she's bringing upon herself is just that. When they start digging into people's past, they go down that rabbit hole. They keep going until they finally pull something out. But for her to turn around and say, we're not talking about that, why not? Obviously, someone's going to, either a good friend of yours is going to say something. Someone's going to find out where you guys end up meeting, one way or the other. So either way, I mean, if she wants to just keep being at Budinsky, she's going to figure out it's going to go down the wrong friggin' rabbit hole because she's going to bring a negative spotlight to herself. She probably didn't want.
I can't believe he's letting himself be handled like this. I really can't. I'm absolutely blown away. I'm blown away by it, but we'll see. All right, let me do a quick MLB rundown right here. We'll talk about more of that with Jay coming up in just a few minutes here. Chicago blank Pittsburgh 9-0. Milwaukee over the White Sox by a score of 7-2 in that one. How about this one? The Yankees, we'll start with the Yankees first. They clobbered Baltimore. It started early in the first inning.
High fly ball, right field and deep. Laureano turns, looks, see ya, he's done it again. Red hot Trent Grisham gives the Yankees a run. His 8th home run of the year, his 6th off a right-hander. So it hasn't just been right-handers that he's been hitting. He's been doing a lot of damage, and it looked like he got a cutter, a little spinner that he tried to.
All right, thanks to the Yes Network. We're still in the top of the first, right? Next batter for the Yankees, Aaron Judge.
High fly ball, right field. Laureano back, track, wall, see ya! Yankees open up with back-to-back blasts. They lead 2-0.
Well, Aaron Judge jumped on that sinker, and that was another pitch that was up in the zone, Cody. And he had went 53 at bats without a road home run.
Next batter up is Ben Rice.
Driven out to right field. Laureano back, turning, looking. See ya! Nope, they say stayed in. No, it is gone. A home run. So back to back to back by the Yankees. They're up 3-0.
The only difference, we've seen this once before this year, is it took 5 pitches instead of 3. I mean, that's the only difference, and it's really amazing. You think about, they had 10 hits last night.
And fourth batter coming up. Yeah, Cody Bellinger.
1-1. High drive, right field. There it goes. See ya. A long home run for Bellinger. 4 bombs by the Yankees.
Well, that would make you shake your head a little bit as you see Kyle Gibson shaking his head. And that's a fastball that's up and in that Cody got to. I mean, a really good swing, and he's starting to pick it up a little bit. He's been on base 4 out of the last 5 games multiple times.
Yep, Yankees going to win 15-3. Texas clobbered Oakland 15-2. Houston over Detroit 6-4. Now to my Red Sox, and they had a little home run derby fest of their own last night in Toronto.
Putting him there in the stands. He'll fly that one deep. Right field. Santander's back, and that ball's gone. Jaron Duran with number 2. A leadoff home run.
Yep, 1-0 Red Sox. We're not done in the first inning.
There's also some nasty weather moving through here. Swinging a high fly ball down the left field line. Did he keep it fair? And he did indeed. It's gone. Alex
Bregman, that made it 2-0. Christian Campbell, rookie second baseman, gets into it. Outfielder too occasionally. In the top of the second.
2-1. He'll fly that one into right field. That's well hit. Santander's back on the track. He's leaping up. He can't get it. That ball's gone. The Red Sox, for the 3rd time in 2 innings, take Francis out of the ballpark, and it is 3-0. The 4th of the year for the rookie Campbell.
How strong is this kid? Right? We talk about the bat speed. We talk about the patience and the approach. But the fact that he mishit that, he was beat. That's a fastball down. He didn't get all of that at all. I guarantee if you asked him after the game, did you think?
And we move on to the top of the 3rd inning.
Wait.
What?
You know, the word miss in front of everything, it's really starting to drive me freaking bananas. How did he miss? I don't know. Swing and a miss. How did he miss hit that? Oh, go on. Sorry.
Handful of teams in baseball.
Swinging a drive. This one's gone. Way back. Raffy connects.
Oh, my.
Instantaneously. Way back there. 4-0 Red Sox. Number 5 for Devers. That was an absolute no-doubter.
I don't know what these pitchers are doing, right? They keep getting ahead and beating Raffy with fastballs. And we saw this in Cleveland. Off speed with 2 strikes in the strike zone. That's a split.
Oh my goodness, yes. And then one more afterwards. That made it 4-0. But Wilyer Abreu gets into the act in the top of the 3rd.
They are returning the favor, and there's a swing and a high D drive center field. Barshaw's backing up, turning around. See you later. That one's gone. Abreu with a 3-run shot. And the Red Sox are mauling the Blue Jays tonight. Wow. Already 5 Red Sox home runs.
Somehow they got away with 4 solo shots before.
That's Dave O'Brien and Will Middlebrooks on Nesson last night. Elsewhere, Kansas City got by Tampa Bay 3-1. Dodgers clobbered Miami 15-2. Atlanta got by Colorado 8-2. Houston over Detroit by a score of 6-4. Mets over Arizona. Mets going to lose again. They've been unbelievable. Seattle over the Angels 5-3. San Diego got by San Fran 4-0. And the Phillies. What a walk-off win last night for your boys, Angel.
Needed it.
Louise again blocks, and here comes Stott. The throw not in time. The Phillies win it. Bryson Stott scores the game winner with a wild pitch. They took 2 chances in the inning, and both paid off.
Yes.
That was incredible. Secondary lead. He reads it. He thinks, I'm going to go.
Wow, what a heartbreaking loss. Great battle by the Nationals to come back and go ahead.
What a crazy game.
What a ninth inning.
Yep. Meanwhile, Cleveland and Minnesota in a good one, 1-1. In the bottom of the ninth we go.
We'll mix in a slider. There you go. Deep right field. Lawrence back. He's out of room. We're out of here.
All right.
Broadcaster's dream. Yep. No extra innings. Kyle Manzardo with the walk-off home run. Cleveland goes on and beat Minnesota by a score of 2-1. All right, I know Jay Flaming's going to join us at any second now. But you know what, Angel, let's take a quick break. And even if we have to come back early, I just got to run out of the room for a minute. But let's take a quick break. When we get back, Jay Flannery and then Mick Colaggio at the bottom. Actually, you know what? All right, there's Jay. Hang on a second. I got to text our buddy Bill Sparrows, who usually joins us on Wednesdays at 8:30, but Mick's coming on at 8:30. He was traveling. His flight got delayed. I got to tell him. Just give me 1 second here. Can we
Sure.
do this tomorrow?
Morning, Bill.
You mean Jay?
No.
Oh, Bill, that Bill. Sorry.
Yeah. No, Jay too, but Bill had checked in as you were. See, I was going to say morning Jay as soon as you brought him up, but okay.
Absolutely. There he is. Jay Flannery from Beach World in Ann Arbor, just like that, joining us here on the Pete Sheppard Show. Good morning, Jay. How are you doing?
I got the Pete signal, so I decided to call in. So there you go. So I got the P out in the sky. So.
Oh, excellent. Fantastic. We'll get into Kittle's side. We'll get the regular NFL news in just a little bit.
Purdy's close, by the way. Purdy's close. That's the other thing. I think I was texting you about that after the Kittle thing. The Purdy deal is done.
Yeah. I would think it would have to be. 49ers are kind of weird to figure out. But now I thought the same thing once Kittle got signed. I mean, they're not making that deal without signing their quarterback. So
they're training together. They're training together. So that's the other thing. You've seen the videos. They're at WWE together. They're getting that done.
4-year extension, $76 million. Kittle got yesterday with the 49ers. So and Brock Purdy. Now I'm fascinated by what kind of deal Brock Purdy's going to get. Aren't you? I mean, I'm trying to figure out what's he going to get.
Okay, so Kathy, my business partner, is a huge 49ers fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her his deal is going to be around $45 million a year. It's going to be like 5 years, 230, like 170-ish guaranteed, and then about 120 signing. That's about right. That's about what he's going to do. I'm good at doing the numbers, but I think that's what he's going to get. He wants to be there. Remember, he's still on his rookie deal and as Mr. Relevant, so he's making like under $1 million for a lot of his career, and this is 4th year of his deal. And by the way, this is the example that Shador and any of these other guys who got drafted where they didn't want to get drafted or didn't think they were going to get drafted. You make a good example of your situation. Take a good advantage of your situation. Shut up and get to work, and don't mouth off to coaches in meetings and other things that Shador supposedly did.
And you know what else he should have done? First and foremost,
take the meeting.
Hire an agent. Yeah, hire an agent and not have your father.
Yeah.
Because the baggage. And that's part of it. Why he fell is Deion. If he had hired it, and then the unfortunate his number got out and that kind of thing, and the prank phone calls and all that stuff, that would never have happened if he had an agent. Would not have happened.
Well, the crank phone calls was going on with a lot of different guys from what I've seen. It's crazy. Yeah. But no, you're right. And by the way, I have an agent So, which it's a good example. His name is Mr. Bradley Blank. So, you're right. There were a lot of problems here, but in reality, with Shador, what happened with him once he got to about pick 45, once he drops to a second rounder, he's essentially going to be a backup. And Pete, you and I know about this, and Angels to an extent too. You don't want the celebrity backup quarterback. Okay, the Patriots went there. They liked Tim Tebow. They wanted to keep him, but it was too much nonsense. We all know about.
I don't think they ever wanted to keep him. I think Belichick was doing him a favor. I really believe that. I think Bill was trying to get him out there to display, but because he was god awful. He was awful with the Patriots.
But they would have kept him as like a special, like a gadget play guy, like trick play guy, like Wildcat, like we've seen.
Yeah.
But also, Jimmy Garoppolo, Steve Young with Joe Montana back in the day, and Steve Walsh with Aikman when Jimmy Johnson first got there. Yeah. You don't want the celebrity. If you have a quarterback, you don't want the celebrity backup guy. And the other thing is with the social media and Prime and other people saying stuff, you don't want to have a young quarterback dealing with this nonsense all the time. So that's part of it. And the biggest thing is I don't think he's got overwhelming physical skills. I think was a good college quarterback. I think I would have drafted him probably at the end of the first round or the beginning of the second round, but I'm not an NFL GM. So,
but and you got to look at some of the, you also have to look at what teams needed a quarterback, which eliminates half the field. So it's really not everybody with these conspiracy theorists with collusions. Just look at it three-dimensionally and look at who actually needed a quarterback. Now I think he's going to end up. I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise for Shador. And one last thing too, before I forget, on the 49ers, big signing with DJ Humphries. If he's over his injury with Arizona and Kansas City from last year, that's a good pickup on an offensive tackle for the 49ers as well. So
the numbers on him, Trent Williams insurance. Trent Williams insurance, Yeah,
absolutely. But getting back, because there's 5 quarterbacks. I don't think Flacco has any shot to be a starter. We know Deshaun Watson ain't going to be a starter. Kenny Pickett, maybe. Dylan Gabriel, unless I see something spectacular in camp, I don't know.
Grow about 5 inches.
Shador Sanders, which should have a pretty decent shot at being the starter if he's about 75-80% of all the hype. Other than that, I think it's Kenny Pickett, but he'll get his shot. I tell you, Browns game's going to be fun to watch because of all the quarterbacks, the exhibition games I'm talking about, because you're going to see a lot of these guys. You're going to see a lot of Dylan Gabriel. You're going to see a lot of Shador Sanders, obviously. This is not going to be like one series and done unless they give him QB1 right out of the gate and he doesn't get it. But I can't believe that he would go into an NFL season without playing any snaps in the exhibition season. I can't believe that would be the case.
One of my really good media friends is Ken Carmen, who hosts the morning show in Cleveland. The Browns, pre and post game host guy.
Yep.
Actually, Ken's my boy. So no, it's interesting. You just made a really good point, Pete, and I think people don't understand this. There were about 5 teams going into the draft that definitely needed a quarterback. We know who they are: the Raiders, the Jets, the Titans. There are a couple other ones. You can figure out who they are. And then there's about 10 that have Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Pat Mahomes, Jalen Hurts. They're set. The Patriots are one. All the teams that have a stud quarterback and drafted one last year high. There's about 15 teams right there. And then you had about 10 teams that just took him flat off. He's off of about 20 draft boards when I've been told. Shador is. He pissed so many people off. And the stuff coming out about the Giants and what Rick Neuheisel told about the story he's told about the FaceTime. So Shador was in a meeting with his coach and he got a FaceTime call and he took it in the middle of the meeting. And then he left his phone on.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So you can't have that type of.
You have one person coach you your entire life, his father. He's never had to be accountable for some of this stuff. Now, to his credit,
and that's what happened with Dable in the meeting. The blow up with Dable's in the meeting. If you read it, that having to explain negative plays, and he didn't handle it well.
No, he didn't. And the stuff about a 73% completion percentage, Jesus, Mary and Joseph. You got some of the people that are hopping on that stack. Go back and watch. I'd say 40% of his 73% passes came from behind the line of scrimmage that you and I could have made.
Bubble screens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I mean, he has talent, and I do think he's going to end up being the starter. But I completely get it. But this is what happens when you only have one person coach you your whole life, and then finally you're held accountable, and people are going to have constructive criticism for you. What's he going to do with the Browns? When Stefanski gets all over him for some reason, is he going to walk up the field and go cry to daddy? I mean, now to his credit, I will say, so far he has said all the right things. He may not have said it in the meeting, but I'm talking about post-draft. He has said all the right things thus far about kind of being humble and just glad to be there and all that stuff. And we'll see what happens. It's really too bad Hard Knocks isn't in Cleveland this year. It really is. As that would be must watch.
I think, yeah, you're right. But I think he landed in a pretty good situation for him. You just did. Yeah, you just did they're going to basically tell Deshaun Watson to go home and they might even cut him on June 1st. Kenny Pickett's useless. Dylan Gabriel is less than useless. I don't know what he can do in the NFL. He's my size. Yeah, and he's also older because he's played on 3 college teams.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Flacco is he's kind of what Jameis Winston was last year.
But again, let's go back to Dylan a second. But what does it tell you that the Browns drafted him before Shadur Sanders? I mean, that's unbelievable to me. Why?
They're not even in the same realm talent-wise. That's a good question, Pete. But here's the other thing. I also think the Browns drafted Shador because Jimmy Haslam made them draft him. So that's part of these dysfunctional teams. And great credit to our Patriots for having the adult in the room finally in Mike Vrabel, and literally they had one of the best drafts of any team in the league. And everybody, it's not just me and you saying it. It's everybody saying it.
I hope so. And I said, I think that one of the big steals in the entire draft for anybody was getting Joshua Farmer, the defensive tackle out of Florida State. That guy can ball. I am telling you, you put him with Williams and Barnmore if he's healthy. Wow, that is. And I love the fact that the Patriots also drafted Andres Barragales, the kicker from Miami, who just simply doesn't miss. He just doesn't miss. And
I was going to ask you about that.
60 plus. He was 62 or 62 from extra points last year, 19 to 20, I think, in field goals. And I've watched him all 4 years at Miami. He is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I would be stunned if he's not their starting place kicker. But going back at the beginning of the season, going back to Farmer, the defensive tackle from Florida State, I don't know how he fell to 137.
Pass rusher.
I think it's steal. I think it's an absolute steal.
I think he had a medical. Somebody told me there was some medical thing that came up that was weird, maybe a knee or something. The one I wanted to ask you, because you just mentioned Miami, Pete, Xavier Recipo not getting drafted because of the 40 time.
Yeah, but it's so stupid. You know why? Wait, and you know who he's with now, right? You saw who he signed with.
Yeah.
Did you see
who was it? He went somewhere good.
Tennessee. Well, Cam Ward again.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's right. Yes.
I'm telling you, I loved it. I loved it. They're so stupid. This is exactly how, talk about football speed as opposed to combine speed. I don't care about combine speed. That kid has got football speed, and he knows how to run routes. And I'm telling you, man, he's going to make.
He knows how to work with that quarterback too.
He's going to make the Titans and hooked up with Cam Ward again. Look out. That could be the new Brady, the Welker / Edelman type of combination. Do not be surprised. You heard it here first.
And the other thing, I agree with you. And by the way, they signed Tyler Lockett right before the draft.
Yep.
So that's another part.
Yep.
So Deborah's got a bunch of questions here. Let me go through them real quick. As far as I like what the Lions did. They got that D lineman from Ohio State with the first pick to help aid and Aline McNeil. Aline McNeil tore his ACL in November. So it's more to help Aline McNeil. But they're always about the line of scrimmage, both lines. They drafted the 2 guards. The local Isaac Asiata, the Arkansas wide receiver, is more about Hillsdale College, small college kid, all-state quarterback. He's wide receiver, big, powerful kid, a little bit like Mike Evans, tested like crazy. That's about Jamison Williams and what they're going to do with his contract coming up. So the Lions are trying to be a year ahead with every move they do. The 2 offensive linemen are about the guards. They're and Frank Ragnow. As far as players and kids developing by 25, that's about right. And that's the advantage. And Pete and I have talked about this before with COVID, with guys having 5, 6, 7 years in school. you saw these Michigan kids getting drafted the last couple of years, particularly last year's national championship team, where a lot of these guys were in, like Mike Sanistrell and Mikey Barrett were in school for 4 years. I mean, some of those guys played with Cade McNamara. Mike Sanistrell was like his best receiver, and even Blake Corum. Blake Corum was on the 20 team. So, the longer you can stay in college, and this is the good thing about NIL, where the longer you can stay in school and grow, and that's kind of Deborah's question, you get stronger and get in better shape, and you don't have to deal with a lot of the noise of the NFL when you're seeing those Shador and other guys getting crank calls. It's an opportunity for you to grow and get full training and so forth.
For the most part, though, when we were growing up, very few exceptions as far as I'll just stick with quarterback development. It's a little different now, but back then quarterbacks didn't hit their prime. Sometimes usually 28, 29, 30. It was not like like the great ones came out of the gate at 21 years old and lit everybody up. It wasn't like that. There was a progression, and most of the big names really didn't hit their stride to their late 20s to early 30s.
Yeah, just think of that's a great point, Pete. Think of the 83 draft where you had Elway, Marino, Jim Kelly, and Ken O'Brien and Tony Easton are both good at one time or another too. Yeah. So about 28, 29 is when Jim Kelly was awesome on the Bills. They were starting to go to the Super Bowl. Marino was awesome about 6 minutes after he came in the league, but his second year they went to the Super Bowl.
He is one of the exceptions that came in and lit everybody up immediately.
But here's the other thing, Pete, and there's the biggest thing about that group. They all stayed in college for 4 years.
Yeah.
Marino did. Mm-hmm. And Marino dropped in the draft because Pittsburgh didn't have a good year in his senior year, and there was the drug rumors.
The big thing he dropped in the draft, too, is because the kid fell out the window. I can't remember if he died, forgive me, but that was part of it. And there was a marijuana issue. Whoop the freaking do. Like today, it'd be nothing. He should have never fallen. I loved him at Pittsburgh. He was the best quarterback in the draft, and the Patriots should have taken him. And the Jets should have taken him too. And everybody should have taken him. But anyway, we digress. I do want to address
Here's a question for you. Here's a question for you, Pete. It's good you brought this up. Who's a better quarterback, Tony Easton or Ken O'Brien? They're both good at one time. Who did you like better, and why? I want to hear this.
Well, what made Easton so good was the phenomenal running game they had with Collins and James.
John Hanna.
John Hanna, exactly. And he was the prototypical I can make medium type throws. Now, the Hail Mary he threw to Irving Fryer against the Rams, that was something one year. That was in '86 when they won the division. That was an unbelievable game. Maybe his best throw he ever had. But they had such a phenomenal offensive line and running game. He had to do a lot. And then, of course, that same year in '86, we all remember the sack he took in Denver because he could not get out of his own way. He had hardly any scrambling ability at all.
Rulon Jones, baby.
He served his purpose for a couple of years, and then, but Kenny O'Brien had more talent than Tony Easton. Easton beat him in the playoffs in '85 when they won 3 straight road games. So that was something. He played well that one year when they were the first team to ever win 3 road playoff games, being the Jets, the Raiders, and then Miami, all on the road. But look at the defense. Miami had 7 turnovers in that game. The defense caused special teams 7 turnovers.
Well, see if you remember this. Who was the elixir of the Patriots that used to own Dan Marino? He got a ton of interceptions against him. I'll give you a clue. He's affiliated with your favorite college. Number 31.
Fred Marion. No, not Fred Marion.
Yes, you got it. Good job, Pete.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
So there's certain guys that used to own these star quarterbacks. Like Gil Bird used to own John Elway.
On Peyton.
On Peyton Manning, yes. So certain guys just own certain people. The reason why Ty Law used to kill Peyton Manning was he used to kill Marvin Harrison, which I think is crazy because if you've ever heard Charles Woodson says Marvin Harrison was the toughest receiver he had to cover.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing because he covered Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, Calvin Johnson. But to think that Marvin Harrison, Ty used to beat him like day-old eggs. Ty. But the thing was, Ty would push him around.
Yeah.
And Ty is a stronger guy. Ty was a really good running back when he came to Michigan. So it was we didn't know, we made him a corner and it worked out okay. Yeah. But I mean, Aliquippa High School, where Mike Ditka and Tony Dorsett went, and just a great player. I mean, incredible player. But no, I mean, it's amazing when you look at who owns certain guys, and it's pretty funny. So it's even, Pete, because you love Tom. Who's the guy who sacked Tom Brady the most in his career? We could keep you here till next Christmas.
No, what's his name? What's his name for Indianapolis? Freeney.
No,
it wasn't.
It's not. He's up there.
Freeney had a lot of them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. No, think about a guy in his division that he played a lot, but it's not a big name guy.
Go ahead, tell me.
Aaron Schlabel. Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo Bills.
Because he played against him for like 10 years.
Also,
like when they had Kyle Williams. They had Kyle Williams inside forever.
And before we get to what's going on with Bill Belichick in the final minutes we have with you here, but also I think one of the biggest disruptors for Tom Brady and the Patriots, for the most part, especially in Miami, was Taylor, right? I mean, he was everywhere. Yeah. You couldn't get Belichick loved. I mean, you could not. Every time they played the Patriots, and a lot of other teams did this too. But man, was he all over Tom so much in that team? He was. Didn't matter pass rushing. Back defending the pass. I mean, he just was a pain in the.
But his own blitz with him a lot. His own blitz with him a lot. Yeah. So Pete, you should know this. I don't know if you know this story. You know, Tom wrote a letter to help get Jason Taylor in the Hall of Fame. He wrote a letter to the election. Yep.
I heard.
Tom did that.
Yep. And he did.
That's
and
pretty cool.
I don't know why it took so long for him to get into all of it, because he absolutely deserved it. All right.
And Zach Thomas, too. Zach Thomas and that whole Jimmy Johnson, Dave Wanstead defense was incredible. So, again, Deborah's asking about the Hutchinsons and the Arkansas kid. Yeah, I mean, we produce a lot of tough players here. And Aiden is, he's the legacy player. And he's looking good from what I've seen from the videos of him running and rehabbing. He was on his way to be the defensive player of the year before he broke his leg. So, I mean, excited about upcoming season. You and I are football guys, and I think Michigan's going to be really good again. So, and obviously the Lions. But they're still limited because they have Jared Goff. Okay, let's go into Belichick. I heard you say it, Pete.
All right, so here's the thing. One thing TMZ Sports doesn't do, they don't get stories wrong. They're 99%
no, they don't.
accurate. And I think it's disturbing that Jordan Hudson, according to the report from TMZ, stormed out of the CBS interview at one point, expected him to follow. The couple went viral over the weekend when Hudson interrupted Belichick's interview. The outlet says Hudson even interrupted and corrected Belichick when he was answering questions about football. That's the part I can't wait to see. And then from the TMZ reporter, quote, even when the legendary coach was answering questions about football, she would stop and correct him, unquote. And then Hudson reportedly delayed the interview by 30 minutes at one point when she stormed out of the room. Okay, there's being P-whipped, and then there's this handling P-whipped, and then I can't figure this out. I don't know what's going on. The guy would tell us for years and years, interviewing for over a decade, about not wanting distractions, not wanting this and that. How she is handling him, I think she's gaining a lot of enemies. But the fact that he is allowing it, and I'm hearing some very disturbing things from down there. Jay,
I am too.
That is, he better not let her ruin his chances of coaching that football team. I can't believe what's going on. Your thoughts?
Well, like you, I'm hearing very bad things. A big part of what's going on here, if you understand Coach Belichick, is he always had Ernie Adams and or Burge Nigerian around him.
Yes.
That's not happening anymore. Burge is working for Bill O'Brien in Boston College.
Burge is the one that would be his right-hand man. He was the guy standing next to Bill every game, win or lose, that's walking off the field. And great guy.
Yep. And Ernie was the eye in the sky during the game. He'd be in the headset with Bill. They went to college, high school and college together at Phillips Academy to start.
Yep.
And they worked together with the Giants. And he's the guy, hey, if you watch him ever in the headset during the game yelling, hey, Ernie, what should we go for this? Should we review this? Yeah. And Burge is the administrative everyday around type. And I think he misses that. When you have somebody, you're in a relationship with somebody who's a lot younger than you, there's things you just go about things differently. And, Bill is 73-ish.
Yeah.
So having somebody that just, and the way she talks and behaves is just bad.
It's
It
childish.
reflects poorly on him.
And then I'm reading another thing. It says Jordan Hudson wants to. This is from Savage, so I don't know if this part is true. There's two things that they say.
Mhm.
Jordan Hudson wants to use Belichick's Super Bowl jerseys and memorabilia and turn them into crop tops to wear. But point number two, which I brought up too the other day, the entire Belichick family is concerned about his well-being and dislikes this entire situation. There's no question. I can't imagine, especially his daughter, what she thinks of all this. And I've met all the kids before.
She's a lacrosse coach, right? Amanda, she's a lacrosse coach, right?
Holy Cross, I believe. Yeah. And it's creepy to begin with, but the way he is allowing her to handle him is mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing.
I can make a joke out of that, Pete. I can make a joke out of that, Pete, but I won't. But it's not fun for me to watch. No, Bill and I had our differences, but he won a lot, and he's a phenomenal coach. And you don't like to see somebody of his level being embarrassed and made to look bad like
him coaching on the field has been tremendous. I mean, he's got everybody's attention. He's been fantastic. And then you saw the video that I played earlier. And she's walking up on the field, and she's fixing his coat, fixing his pants, but I'm not sure exactly when this interview on CBS airs. I would assume sometime this week. But if she's correcting him about football questions, Jay, you got to be shitting me. I mean, that cannot. I can't believe you would allow that to happen. Linda was never, ever, ever his former girlfriend. Ever, she was a sweetheart too. She was great. She was never at the let during our interviews with Bill. Never, except after the game. You might see her after the game. That's it. She just minded her business and whatever. This girl, I think she's fucking crazy. She's a little loopy. There's something not right. There is something not right with this situation. And the fact that they're worried about his well-being, maybe there's something medically going on that we don't know about. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This is so not Belichick. It is the complete opposite. It's worse than George Costanza and Steinfeld, the opposite show. So I don't want to see his legacy tarnished by this person.
And by the way, I agree with you 100% on Linda. And by the way, Linda, call me. No, it was just man. There's a symbol that Bill's lacking judgment. I mean, it's sad to see. And when I first saw the interview on the morning show on CBS, I was like, oh my God. And the other thing is Bill, he was back to the homeless look with the sweatshirt.
He had remind me of not quite as bad. Rocky when Mickey said that stinking sweatshirt, he goes, you know what it brings? It brings flies. He's got a t-shirt.
I couldn't stop laughing. I saw him. He's back to the homeless shelter look when he was coaching the Patriots. I always liked when he looked that way because that meant he was studying and he was up all night working on the game. Like it was like the On the Cincinnati, that era when because they were kind of in transition, and he and Tom had the work to turn it around. But it's very odd for people like me and you who are around the team and saw Coach and what he looks like, and we have no relationship with her, so we don't know what she's like.
The video of her walking out onto the field is
looking
just
like a Britney Spears singer.
So disturbing. Like, what are you possibly saying? What could you possibly say that is relevant to this football team?
And the other thing is, Pete, you got to CC her in all emails to Bill. That was the first thing that came out about 2 months ago. So if you're involved anything with North Carolina, if you're like the defensive coordinator and you're sending Bill, hey, Bill, we got to run more blitzes. You have to CC her and everything.
But
that was from Bill. Bill put that out.
But the other disturbing thing is she put it on Instagram, and I just said, stop ruining this man's legacy. Go away. That was I said to her on Instagram. She posted that.
Oh, she'll be on the show tomorrow, Pete. Right? She's gonna be on the show tomorrow now, Pete. Right?
Yeah. But there was they made it seem like Belichick put this couple of paragraphs out there about his upcoming book. Absolutely, without a doubt, he didn't write any of it. It was all bullshit. She wrote it. Clearly, she wrote it. I am 150,000% sure that she wrote it. And you could just tell by the tone, the way it was written, he would never have spoken that way because it was all reaction about her, even though she tried to make it sound like Bill was writing it. It is, I don't know if you've read it, but go on her Instagram account, and it's out there on social media.
I saw it.
It's embarrassing, embarrassing. And I can't believe that he allowed that to happen, that to make her put words like that in his mouth, things that he would never, ever, ever say. It was so narcissistic and so her, Miss Jordan Hudson. Just go away. Leave my guy alone. Leave my man alone.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad. Not everybody's like Dick Vermeil in age as well. It just, it's sad to see for people like me and you who used to seeing Bill in a certain way. And, and I haven't got it. And I'm going to get an advanced copy of the book. So I haven't got it yet, but, it is,
I'm working
we'll
on that
see.
too.
And the second part, it's, and Bill doesn't help himself either with not, addressing Mr. Kraft. And listen, I know they had a bad ending. Tom had a bad ending with him too.
Yeah.
But you have to move on, and it's just better for your mental
He
health.
had done
They won a lot.
but he had done such a great job of reshaping his media image. He didn't have to do it for me. And going on the Manning cast and doing what he did on the show and all that stuff. And then you get this with this Jordan Hudson person, and you talk about a Vulcan mind meld / Jedi mind trick. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but I don't like it at all. I don't like it at all, and I don't know. My man Jay, you're the man, and maybe we'll talk again later this week. Maybe on Friday. We'll see, if you're around.
We'll see. I see you got my man Mick coming on to say nice things about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
They are fucking done. I'm telling you. I told you.
1 in 12. 1 in 12 in elimination games last 13 games.
I know.
That's crazy.
I know.
Nuts. Okay, you and Mick have fun. You and Angel behave. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you, my friend.
There he is. There he is. Jay Plainleaf up the beat. Just like that, Mick Colaggio from his car is joining us this morning. Our great
Pete, I don't know if you can hear me, but I got no audio.
I can hear you. Do you have earbuds on?
Trying to get your audio, Pete.
I can hear you. Angel, what do you think? Can we fix that? I can hear and see him. I hear and see you. I can see you. I can see you, and I can hear you. You can't hear me. Okay.
Rare that he's in his car, but I'm thinking that because of what you call it. I saw he had the one Bluetooth in his ear. Hold on, maybe Mick, can you hear Pete and I?
Can you hear us now? I can hear and see you. Can you hear us?
I'm going with no, only because he keeps looking at his phone. Maybe
we see and hear you, Mick. Can you hear us? Mick, come here. Mick.
Yep.
Oh, maybe we'll just have him call in.
Hold on. Well, give it a second. He's trying to look. He's still trying to mess around with it as we're looking down in the green room.
Let me text him.
Yep. I'm gonna. He may not be saying something. I'm gonna bring him up as you're texting him just to see if he's gonna
see and hear you, but you cannot hear us.
Let's see. I'm gonna bring him back up again and see if he can hear us once you're done. Here we go. Whoops.
Yeah.
Get back over here.
I may just give. He says he can see us, but he can't hear us. Okay. All right. So I just text him, call in. So that's fine. We'll stick his mug up there. Same thing.
Good morning, Dylan. Hold on, let me get
Morning, Dylan. How are you? How'd the race go this past weekend?
Not too good. Apparently they had something that went awry. Apparently with the motor, somebody else. I still yet to talk to Dylan. I'm going to talk to him today and find out more. But hang on. Here comes Mick. I just got to switch the pictures. Mick, can you hear us now?
Hi, Mick.
Mick?
Hear me now?
Yep, there it is.
I can hear you. Yeah, can you hear us? We hear you.
Yep, and yep.
Yep. All right, Angel's going to put your mug up so people know that we're talking to you. Anyway, good morning, Mick, and how are you?
I am well. Thank you very much.
Did you think of me last night during the 4-0 shutout and Linus Ullmann? And I think the discussion I had, because you made so many great points as to why the Maple Leafs could win, should win. And I said, they'll do it in more dramatic fashion this time. They'll be down 3-0 to none. They'll be up 3-0 to none and lose. And they should have lost this series already. Let's be honest. They've been outplayed, except for game 1. I think for at least 80% of this series, they have been outplayed. And to lay an egg like that at home last night in another closeout situation, they're not going to win in Ottawa. And then all this shit's going to come down on them again for Game 7 in Toronto. Now, do you still think they're going to win this series? Because I don't. I think they are toast.
You sound like Fredo Corleone. Like, what? Paul Green is not a man you talk to like that.
Can't take care of him. I'm your older brother, and I was stepped over, Mike.
I'm smart. I could do so.
I'm not dumb like everybody says. I'm smart, and I want respect. Oh, please don't get me going on The Godfather. I'll do the whole movie.
My goodness.
No, but in all seriousness,
I was making my bones when you were dating cheerleaders. Any case, well, look, this team has enormous talent and has kind of been a broken record. They're the Red Sox before 2004, and they're overdue. Not to necessarily win the Stanley Cup, but to break through and make a playoff run and be in the conversation and be one of the teams that could and should be in that situation. So where are they at right now? You know what? This is pretty typical. I mean, the Bruins have laid some Game 5 eggs at home in the last great run of 15 years of so many playoff series, including a couple against the Maple Leafs. They had to go back to Toronto, and then they'd fail in Game 6 and come back and have a dramatic Game 7. And fans have become very conditioned to seeing the Maple Leafs fold in Game 7, even when the year 13, when they had that 4-1 lead on the Bruins with, most of about half the third period left to go. And just hard to believe that it could come to that team. So, 2 years after winning the Stanley Cup was going to go out like that. And they didn't go out like that. They roared back. I'm looking at Chris Tanev on defense. I'm looking at Brandon Carlo on defense and saying, all right, this is what the Leafs did to finally address their need for defensive defensemen, guys who aren't always looking to make the fancy play, but guys that you can actually count on and be a bend but don't break team. Can they be that? I think in this series, Ottawa is so green and raw right now that it's inevitable. I'll be shocked if the Ottawa Senators win another game here. I'll be shell shocked if they win the series. But
I won't.
What happens in the next round is another question altogether.
You're speaking logically again. I know the analogy, which is a good one about the Red Sox. I don't give a shit the talent on Toronto. They've had the talent for decades. We've seen it at certain times. Maybe not as talented as this team, but I can't believe I don't think they're mentally tough enough to shake off a loss like this, to get beaten down like that at home. And then now they're gonna find themselves all of a sudden in Ottawa. I'm not seeing it. Mick, they should have lost the first 2 overtime games. They were outplayed. They have been outplayed in this series, right? You have to give me that.
That makes them a little like the dynastic Islanders, who drove me crazy the way they could win games they shouldn't have won. And that's what talent does for you. You could have Mike Bossy could be your trump card. In this case, It could be William Nylander or Marner or Matthews. It could be Nyes, who's just an amazing talent. They just have so much pure skill that they've been trying to get by on it for so long that I think they finally have the right coach. I think they finally have a defense core that makes more sense and can effectively complement these guys. And I think that the acquisition of Domi, remember 22, Domi was the key player in the Hurricanes' 7-game win over the Bruins. He was the key player in that Game 7 at Raleigh. And I think that Domi is the kind of guy who offers them a flavor that they've been missing. And so I think that this team is the best version of the Maple Leafs that I have seen in this iteration, this era of Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and Mitchell Marner. This is really, and Morgan Riley. This is really the best version of that team that I have seen. Getting Lawton from the Flyers. I just don't see them losing this series. I think that I don't know how far this iteration of the Leafs can go because of the questions you just raised about their mental toughness. But I do feel like they finally did the right things to augment this team as necessary to find out. And now we're going to find out.
Okay, when Ottawa wins tomorrow night, will you change your mind?
No, I won't, because I've seen these situations go to Game 7 after losing. You get to 3-1 at home. You didn't really deserve to be up 3-1. Kind of like the Bruins in 04 against the Claude Julien Canadiens. They didn't really deserve to be up 3-1 in that series. They go home up 3-1. They lay an egg. They get to Montreal, and it's a tough Game 6, and they lose it. They get home, and it's painful, and they wind up losing. Yeah, I guess in that sense it's possible. But the Ottawa Senators, to me, a good friend of mine, Kevin Votor, compared them to the '68 Bruins. Had been out of the playoffs for almost a decade, and then this was their first crack at it. And this is a situation that a team like that is in. It's like you're not gonna win at that point. It's hard to win at that point. And if the Maple Leafs still seem to you like Humpty Dumpty, then I don't know. I just feel like there's too much there now. I feel like this team is now finally augmented in some wise ways that they hadn't been heretofore. Now they are, and so I'll be damn surprised if the Leafs don't pull this out. But what happens in the next round is a whole different question, because
I haven't heard from Bissonnette.
And done that.
I haven't heard from Bissonnette in a couple of days, but we digress. I want to get to the Lightning and the Panthers in a second, but I do want to head west, young man. Go west, young man. And it is looking more. There's still a long way to go for this to happen, but. What would it be like? What would it be like from New England fans' perspective if it's Jim Montgomery versus Bruce Cassidy in the Western Conference Finals, which it could be that way. If the Blues can upset the Jets, which the way Hellebuck is playing, it might be a good possibility. They played so awesome at the end of the season, right? 12 in a row. So if the Blues do win that series and get by the Jets, which is tied at 2, heading into tonight's Game 5 in St. Louis, then they would play the winner of the Stars and Avalanche, which Dallas is
Game 5 can't be in St. Louis, right?
What?
And that doesn't Game 5 have to. Winnipeg had like the best record in the league. Shouldn't Game 5 be in Winnipeg?
Why does it say Game 5 2-2? It has Jets. Yeah, it should be. I don't know why it has the Jets on top and the Blues. I'm looking at the ESPN bracket. Okay, you're right. The Stars and Avalanche as well would play on that bracket. If the Blues win, they'd have to beat the Jets 2 more games and also beat the winner of the Stars Avalanche series. And then that would set up if the
Blues
Golden
have to win 2 out of 3. Blues have to win 2 games on the road. They've been invincible at home over this stretch that goes back into the regular season. But on the road, they gotta show something they've only shown at home. So, and when you're the underdog like this, you have to be a really good road team to pull it out. That's the challenge. I'm not saying they can't do it. Winnipeg, I think, is going to be a nervous team because they've strung a lot. They've kind of like been the Washington Capitals of the Western Conference over the last decade or so. They're always a really good team, and they never get where they think they're going to go. And the Caps finally broke through, as we know, in 18. And, but I mean, prior to that, when they were really all that in a bag of chips for about a decade, and but never got the playoff result. Pittsburgh was always their kryptonite. In this case, the Blues are hoping that they can play with free and easy, and that the Jets will be the team squeezing the sticks.
But but for Bruins fans up your way and wherever they are listening around the country and around the world, Kazakhstan, hello. What would people want to throw up if it's Cassidy and Monty in the finals? I mean, that is just going to be a kick in the nuts.
That would be in the conference final. That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
It would, well, I mean, my friend Nick Tavares and I, who I used to work with at the Standard Times in New Bedford, Mass,
Mm-hmm.
we used to play a game called "Let's Count the Former Bruins in the Playoffs." and this is the first year in a long time that you could do that, but I've been resistant to do so on any kind of morbid, dark humor basis. Simply because the Bruins have had such a great run and don't deserve that as an organization. That said, the coach thing feels a little different when it comes to that.
Yeah.
So it would be really ironic if we got to that point where the Bruins are in the middle of a coach search and two guys they've gone through are playing in advanced rounds of the playoffs. That could very well happen.
I want to get into the Panthers and the Lightning series with you. But before that, I haven't get a chance to talk to you since what I thought was at least a semi-debacle of a press conference. Charlie Jacobs stuttering to everything Kevin Paul DuPont and you and other people asked him. I particularly loved his answer about raising ticket prices, 9% 2 years ago, 4% this year, blaming it on he had to open the gates for the ushers. But your overall impressions of what went down, because when last we spoke, you were headed that way, between Charlie Jacobs, Don Sweeney, and Cam Neely. What were your overall impressions?
I felt like, for me, the most awkward moment was actually the one where Cam was asked to comment on Don Sweeney's contractual status and if he has enacted any process yet to negotiate an extension with him. And he said that Don's done a good job for the most part. And I'm thinking, wow, Cam, I know Cam has always had a terrible poker face. Yeah. This guy is terminally honest. He doesn't BS well. He doesn't try very often because he's so bad at it. So he really tries to engage questions. And he said that he knows he needs to make a decision there in short order, but he just hadn't made that decision yet. And I believe him. That's Cam. Yep. That's Neely. 100%. So Donnie was very forthcoming about his end of it. Now, as far as Charlie goes, Charlie has been incrementally better over the years at facing the media. So much more comfortable in recent years. And yet, when Kevin ever hit him with this one here, it was a little awkward because he just wasn't ready to be challenged like that. And let's face it. As much as the Bruins have become an enviable organization and a franchise that really is a standard bearer, but this is how you succeed. This is how you do it. And a lot of teams want to be like the Bruins. What they're going through right now, notwithstanding, the fact that he did that, if they'd made this decision to raise ticket prices on a year that they missed like this and had such garbage time involved in the season, just is another illustration that no matter how far they come, there are these moments where optics make them look tone deaf because they said, first thing Charlie said is, let's remember that 50% of every dime that comes in goes to the players.
Yeah.
And that's basically true. That's the collective bargaining agreement. That said, and all the inflation that's going on, all of which is true. But when you compare it against a 9% increase the prior year to say we're just going to do 4, if you rolled it out over a longer period of time and you didn't have a situation this year where were you able to tell the fans that you didn't raise prices while you're issuing these profuse apologies and discussing your embarrassment for the season, it's kind of awkward to juxtapose the ticket increase. And, credit Kevin DuPont. This guy could be sitting home watching TV right now. He's way past retirement age. The Boston Globe and most daily newspapers are considered yesterday's news, no pun intended. And yet he is the ballsiest reporter in Boston.
I
He
agree.
still comes out here with the question.
I want to ask.
Hats off to him and to them.
But the other part of the revenue, which a lot of people forget, how much do the Bruins make off the Celtics having to pay rent every month? I'm sure it's not cheap.
Celtics don't pay rent, but what the Bruins do get is all the concessions. Well, the Bruins don't get it, because that would then go into the gross.
Delaware, New York, yeah.
Well, but it doesn't. The Delaware North is the owner of TD Garden.
Yep.
Jeremy Jacobs' kids are the owners of the Boston Bruins. So the old man has one share, which he can utilize to override anything that he doesn't like, but it's highly unlikely at this stage. But as Delaware North, the owner of TD Garden, their company realizes all the revenues associated with Celtics games that come in via all the concessions.
Yeah.
But the C's actually don't pay rent. And I think that's one of the reasons why they could set the record for being the richest sale of any pro sports franchise ever, and yet not own their own arena.
But they do get revenue from the Celtics. They do get they get the concessions, but that's it? They just get the concessions, and Celtics don't pay them anything besides concessions?
No, my understanding of it is that the Celtics do not pay rent to play in TD Garden, but the Delaware North, the company that owns the Bruins, owns TD Garden, and they're a worldwide operation that realizes over $4 billion a year. They have like the O2 Arena, Wembley. It's incredible the stuff where Delaware North is and what they do. They three brothers in Western New York selling hot dogs and popcorn at circuses and AHL hockey games in the 1920s has now become this crazy big company, and so their arrangement with the Celtics is favorable to both teams. They both can. There's so much talk after the Celtics were bought that they're going to go buy their own arena.
No.
Make their own arena somewhere. Where they're going to go and all of this. I don't think they're going anywhere.
I agree. Where are they going to go? That stuff on
Well,
South.
I mean, you would probably. I wouldn't be surprised if there was talk that at the casino in Everett, the one that looks just like the one in Vegas.
God, please no. Please
no. There's just a lot of people that had different ideas that they were throwing around the day that they announced the sale of the Celtics. But I'll be pretty surprised if they walk away from the deal that they get with Delaware.
Two more points I want to get to you. The last one being about Florida and Tampa Bay. But getting back to KPD, Kevin Paul Dubon, he also asked a follow up, and this is where my phone conked out for a second. As I was watching it online, I forget what happened. I got another call. I had to take it. But he had asked Cam Neely about Don Sweeney's draft picks, and Cam got really defensive, and he asked Kevin for specifics. And I think Kevin started to bring something up, and then my phone conked out. But how did that conversation go?
Well, the misunderstanding was that Kevin said, not aside from what happened in 2015, he was clarifying because Cam tried to address 2015,
Yeah.
which was the infamous draft where the Bruins had dealt their way into having the 13th, 14th, and 15th overall picks, in which they took in succession defenseman Jakub Zboril, winger Jake DeBrusk, and winger Zach Senyshyn. And obviously, Zboril was a slow to develop defenseman who wound up having ACL. He never was right after that, and that was a bust. The DeBrusk situation unfolded successfully, but when it came time, most recently, to choose whether to try to retain DeBrusk as an unrestricted free agent and pay him core player money, the Bruins decided he's not core player material. I agreed with them. They let him go. And so Senyshyn was a reach, and he was the one who was off the board, and they went and they were wrong.
Yeah,
and the kid had wild skating speed, and they thought that they might be able to hit a home run with him. And so one of the things that Cam said while discussing that is that what he wishes they had done was gone back to the drawing board when he didn't mention him by name, but I'm pretty sure he's talking about Noah Hannafin. When Noah Hannafin came off the board, and the Bruins predicated their maneuvering in order to try to get him. He's the defenseman from Norwood, Mass, that now plays for the Golden Knights. What happened there is the Bruins had to suddenly, he said this is unfair to Don because Don had just been hired and he was not part of the process of the amateur scouting evaluation. He was busy as the general manager of the Providence Bruins. And he was, existing prospects was his focal point. So for him to suddenly be thrown in the seat of authority there and having to think on his feet of what to do, so after Cam went into that, Kevin wanted to follow up, and they weren't going to let him have the mic back. He actually brushed off the media relations attempt to take the mic back because he had he prefaced that he wanted one question for each, for Charlie, for Cam, and for Donnie. And he didn't get to Donnie yet. So, but when he did clarify with Cam that he was saying what my question actually is, how do you feel about how you've done with the limited picks that you've had in rounds 1 through 3 in the time since then? How do you evaluate your success as a team in the draft? So he actually meant for him not to address 15 and say that this isn't about that. This is about the years since and about the first 3 rounds and how knowing that you have had a limited number of first rounders because the Bruins went all in on multiple occasions and traded away first rounders, plus the fact that they always had great regular season finishes. So you're always thinking late in the first round when you do have your pick. He just said, first 3 rounds, how do you feel like you've done? And Cam, I think his temperature rose and he didn't really understand, and he started addressing 15. So that's what Kevin wanted to follow up on. And then Cam just talked a little bit about how, it's difficult predicting 18-year-olds, and a lot of teams have regrets, not just us. And so it hasn't been perfect. We've had some hits, we've had some misses. Because, like the very next year, they hit on Charlie McAvoy, and that was in the middle of the first round. How many teams missed on him? Cam never said anything about that. But that's what he was alluding to and saying there've been some hits, there've been some misses. So that's what that conversation was about, and that's how it was followed up on by each.
All right. Finally, it's getting a little bit with the Florida Panthers and the Lightning. You and I I like the Panthers in 7 in this one. Not that Tampa Bay can't come from behind, but they have absolutely watched mostly every minute of this series. Florida has been much more the physical team. Some sort of, obviously what happened with Ekblad and on the Hagel hit and all that stuff. And I thought he'd get suspended for at least 1 game. He got 2. Repeat offender. So your overall thoughts when in this series, and Lightning in a must-win situation, but they have been, I think, manhandled by the Panthers overall. Once again, it's great to see Marshy get a couple of assists the other night as well. But can the Lightning come back under John Cooper and win this series?
You know what? I have to DQ myself because I'm not recusing. I'm disqualifying myself. And the reason is I said that I think that Florida is a broken down train, and that they're going to not have any playoff success to speak of. I don't see them winning the series. I think it could go away in 5 games. That was my initial impression, and uh, I've got it completely wrong. Florida came out uh, playing like I'm trying to park my car at the beach, and this dog is running right over to
Oh,
me.
I see.
He's got this a dog off leash. He's not walking to the front of my car. Is he going to go under my? I think he's going under my car. I don't know.
Oh, what kind of dog?
I wish I was on video. This would be hilarious. What's going on, pal? What you doing there? Why are you coming over to say hi to me? I'm on the radio
I hope
right
that's
now.
a dog.
Hold
I
on
hope
one
that's a
second. I'll
dog.
be with you. Anyway,
I hope that's a dog.
so my real feel,
Kidding.
my real feel, my real feel about this, Pete,
Yeah.
is that the dog's not being called by his owner. Uh, my real feel about this now is that Tampa was not ready for playoff hockey. They are becoming the Pittsburgh Penguins. The milk is
Mhm.
getting past the date. I thought with McDonough back that their mojo was going to be recovered and that we were
Yeah.
going to see another push from this team because it's a championship core. We saw them win it in 21. They've been a really good team. They had that outstanding record in 18. I think we're also seeing it. They missed Stamkos. This is the first time I ever thought I'd say that. But,
Yeah.
Gensel is a more explosive goal scorer at this point in his career. But Stamkos' toughness and leadership, this is the first time I really saw them miss that. They've become the reactive team. Florida's the proactive team. Who wins in the tough games of toughness in the playoffs? The proactive team always beats the reactive team. And this is Florida is playing proactive hockey. They're taking the gray area. They're deciding how this is going to go. And Tampa's the team that's getting all upset. And a lot of their younger players like Sorelli are trying to be core to a turnaround here, and if they're finding themselves up against it here, so no matter how much Florida changes in and changes out their supporting cast, they have managed to keep this mojo going into this playoff year, something I did not anticipate. So hats off to them, and I'm really I wonder where does Cooper and the Lightning go from here, because this to me is a disaster for them. They should have won this series in my opinion, and the fact that they cannot come up with playoff caliber hockey after being the gold standard 5 years ago tells me that they are probably in need of massive retooling. I think that team is now going to be a team that's got a general manager now has to determine who are we gonna keep and who are we gonna let go, and is it time for a coach? Is it time for this? Is it time for that? Because that team is now looking like a team that will never win again, kind of like the Penguins but younger.
And it doesn't help that they're 1 for 15 in the power play through the first 4 games here either, which that just blows my
Well,
mind.
if you're depending on your power play in the playoffs, then you're going to lose.
Mhm.
I mean, the New Jersey Devils of 2002-03 were the worst power play in the NHL, and they went and won the Stanley Cup. So you can get a clutch power play goal when you need it. You don't have to be a high percentage power play team to win the Stanley Cup. You have to be a high percentage penalty kill team. Can't win the cup without a good penalty kill. Can win the cup with a bad power play. But you got to win 5-on-5. That's where it gets decided, and that's where they're getting pushed around. And this shouldn't have happened. And this is a real problem that Tampa's going to have to look long and hard at their personnel, their coaching, their management. They have to decide, do we still have another run in us? And if so, how do we get there? Because if
Now,
they take the minimalist approach, they're going to be like the Penguins these last several years.
and lastly, could the Bruins now wait and hold off on hiring a coach to see what happens if Tampa Bay should let go of Cooper? Is that somebody they could be interested in? I would be.
Well, you know what? I never gave it any thought, but the fact that Don Sweeney worked with John Cooper in the Four Nations so successfully,
Mhm.
that would tell me that the Bruins may do that if they think they're going to lose Mike Sullivan to the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
Um, Elliot Friedman, as it was fed to me secondhand, that he said, and I believe the secondhand is pretty good, that Friedman said, probably in his most recent 32 Thoughts, that he suspects that no one's going to be able to outbid the Rangers for Mike Sullivan. And that would include the Bruins. So if that's where the Bruins are at, then maybe that's why you don't rush to these things, because you just don't know what might land in your lap. And nobody ever talks about Rick Tocchet because the assumption is he's going to Philadelphia. Now that it finally became official yesterday, I think that he's not returning to Vancouver. To me, the clock is on, and for the Flyers to hold their presser. Worst kept secret in the NHL, I think. But it ain't over till it's over. So it's a very interesting musical chairs. I'm not, I guess I shouldn't even rule out Peter Laviolette or John Tortorella or any and all from happening at this point, because they're not in control. So hard to imagine that John Cooper won't call his own shots in Tampa, but I also think that GM that succeeded Yzerman definitely wants to get that team back. And this series is going to really hurt if they don't rebound, and I don't think they can do it. Not now.
And just real quick, goofy, quick 30-second story on my part, and you calm me down with it. I used to think Tocchet hated me when I was covering, morning skate or after, post game. Tocchet, when we covered him in the locker room, and be there morning skate. He just, I thought it was me. I thought it was me, but then you said he did not like microphones in his face or anywhere near it, and he would stare me down. I thought he was like looking at me, but again, you said no, that's just him. He did not like being surrounded by microphones. He really didn't back then, as opposed to Byron Defoe, who loved it.
And Tocchet is one of those guys who goes, if as Tony Soprano would call it, the Manson lamps.
Yeah.
Richie Aprile, don't give me the Manson lamps.
Oh my God, his stare was like no other athlete. I don't want to say intimidated me, but I was like, is he going to punch me? I'm just asking a simple. And it was a very relevant question. Nothing, and more softball.
Mike Sullivan gave me the look one night after a game, and then he gave it to, and I thought it was coincidental. Then he gave it to me again before he left the table, and I'm thinking, okay. He's not happy with something I wrote. And what happened that year was the year after the lockout, the Bruins came back with that discombobbled lockout strategy with all their canceled contracts, and then tried to build a team in haste. And they, as expected, missed the playoffs in the first year of the salary cap. And late in that season, they had a game against the Rangers, and Hal Gill was famous.
Hal Gill.
Jaromir Jagr would talk about Hal Gill all the time. I can't do anything against this guy. I just can't. Well,
because he was
like the season of his career with the Rangers that year. Joe Thornton won the MVP, as everybody knows, but that's voted on by the writers. The Professional Hockey Writers Association voted Joe Thornton the Hart Trophy that year, and he's the only player ever to win it who was traded during the season. However, the Players MVP, the Pearson Trophy, went to Jaromir Jagr. So that's the kind of season he was having. So during that season, Jagr comes in late in the year. The Bruins, the playoffs are slipping away from the Bruins. They were pretty close at the Olympic break, couple of points. And then PJ Axelson blew out his knee, and Aaron Ward and Carolina first game back, and the Bruins started going downhill. So now we're getting late in the season, not too late, but still it's getting to a point where it's over as far as I'm concerned. And so Sully doesn't match up Gill against Jagr, and Jagr goes off.
Yeah.
And Andrew Ference winds up like -5. Mark Stewart, his partner, winds up -4.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So I asked him after the game, "Are you just trying to get Stewart some experience in this, against an elite player? Is that what you're going for tonight?" And he said, "We're just trying to win hockey games." And I thought he was just completely throwing bullshit at me. And so I got angry, and I wrote a column that said basically that all season long, this coach has been the calm and the storm. There's been so many aspects of this season been disorganized for the Bruins. It's been a total mess, except for Mike Sullivan. Well, now he has become central to the problem. He is now making decisions that are taking the Bruins right out of hockey games. I figured if you're gonna bullshit me, I'm gonna put it out there that I think what you decided was bullshit. And so that's what I did. And so the next game I went to in post game, he freaking gave me the Manson lamps. So he was pissed. And he thought it was a cheap shot by me. It caught me off guard how mad he was. I didn't even think anybody read
Because you're not a cheap shot guy. You don't do that bullshit. You don't do that stuff.
Well, you know what? Another reputable former NHL coach read my column and told me that he didn't see a problem with it. He thought it was fair.
Yeah.
And I think he told Sullivan that later too. Well, I sought a meeting with Sullivan because my true feeling about Mike Sullivan, even then, was that he's an excellent hockey player.
Absolutely, yeah.
Tremendous. Now, obviously, he spent several years, and so we met, and I shook his hand and told him, "I think you're a great coach." And I got mad. I didn't feel like you were being honest with me, and and I don't remember what he had to say, but it was more like repairing our relationship more than it was about the actual fact of the matter. We didn't go over that. It was just kind of like clearing the air and saying, "Look, you have my respect." I wrote because I felt like you weren't being truthful with me. So anyway, we got on after that, although we've never been buddy. And obviously Sully's wagon was hitched for years to John Tortorella. And John Tortorella is such an intense personality that Sullivan reached a certain point in his career as an assistant to Torts that he needed to in order to right his own ship and be considered again for a head coaching job, he needed to separate himself from Tortorella. Not that Tortorella's a problem, but he's just such a loud personality, such a I don't want to say polarizing, but he's just a guy that sucks you into a black hole. And so Sully had to get his own shit together, and so we went to the minors and coached Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and they back to the AHL, back to the bars. It was like a great rock band. They had to go back to the bars.
That's right.
And they wound up bringing him up, and he wins the Stanley Cup with the Penguins. He started that year in 15, 16 with their minor league team. And then he replaces the head coach. They win the cup. They repeat. The only coach to repeat is the cup. I know Cooper technically has, but I don't count 2020. So, So Sullivan's had a unique accomplishment in my mind in the modern game of hockey and NHL as we know it under the cap era, which is now 2 decades long. So he's been a tremendous coach, and he's probably going to go where he wants to go. And I think that everybody knows that's going to be Bruins or Rangers. And Friedman thinks Rangers have the edge. Maybe they do. We'll see.
I hope it's not Vancouver. That's for sure. I hope it's not that. Yeah,
I can't see that.
Torts doesn't have a look. He just tells you to fuck off and right to your face, and then you just move on. He just has but anyway, great stuff, Mick Colaggio, as always. You can check him out, rinkwrapmc.com. What else do you want to plug? Your mom and Joe Haggerty, who we're going to get on this show. I know we talked about me going.
We'd love it. I told Hags Legs would love to do it.
Yeah.
So I guess I just need to do some create some contact information sharing and
I think I have his number, to be honest with you. I think I have his number in my phone somewhere, if it's the same number.
Well, yeah, you know what, it's weird because we communicate. I have his phone too, but he and I communicate through private message on X. So
okay,
for whatever reason, that's how we do it. So
that's fine.
I'll reach out to him and give him your contact so that he can text you and
great.
And
awesome.
That way you guys can work it out. And
you're going to owe me. You're going to owe me.
Be there for this.
Even though we didn't officially bet, I'm going to throw it out there now that you owe me a 2-pound lobster surf and turf dinner with a tomahawk steak when Ottawa comes back and wins this series. Fair?
Well, there's a great place just over the Bourne Bridge called the Lobster Trap.
Been there.
And it is.
That'll work.
If you want primo seafood, New England,
I'll fly up for that.
That's one of the places you can always get it.
I will fly up for that. I can't wait. All right, my friend. Thanks. All the best. Anything else you want to plug? Anything else you got?
I'll be laughing and enjoying it if I have to pay off on this one.
Okay. All right, Mick. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much.
Yeah. All right, Pete.
Watch out for that dog.
Anyway, you asked me to plug 5 times. I'll just tell you that I also write in the major issues of the Hockey News when they have every team represented with either the prospects, the yearbook, or the money power. Then I do the Bruins article.
All right. Watch out for that dog.
Yeah. I think his owners are gone now. So yeah,
Okay.
he just walked over to me, wanted to talk. You know,
Well, he knows. I mean,
he was an old guy, spaniel,
Aw.
I think. He had those big, long, hanging ears.
oh,
He was a cutie pie.
oh, please. Okay. All right, buddy. All the best. We'll talk next week. Thank you so much.
See you, Pete.
All righty. That was a good show. All right, Angel Martinez. I can tell you this. We're going to have a full show tomorrow. We're going to have Trevor Harris at 8. We're going to have Bill Sparrows at 8:30. We're going to have Meter. He doesn't know that yet, but he will be joining me at 9:05. And then we will have Glenn Ordway at 9:30 tomorrow. So we have a full 7 to 10 show.
What do you mean by myself? What?
I always ask before I put it out there, just in case. But anyway, oh man, so that was good stuff. Always good stuff. Talk with Mick, and tonight I think the Panthers are going to end it. We'll see.
I think so. Yeah, he had all great points about the Lightning, but yeah, it's done. The only thing Debbie and I even talked about this. Either A, it's going to come down to the Lightning going to have a heart-to-heart talk with Cooper, even though they gave him the extension when they won the first one with him, and then obviously they went back-to-back. Or it's going to come down to Vasilevsky and say, hey, listen, we got to bring somebody new behind the net.
Yeah, because he hasn't had a great series by any stretch of the imagination. He has not been the vast that we know he can be. But look, it's still John Cooper. And I would say the same thing if it was reversed. I would not count either one of these teams out. If Tampa won in the next 2 games and went forced to Game 7, I wouldn't be all that surprised. But I just have the feeling tonight that Florida's going to close them out. Just have that feeling. They've just been more physical. So we'll see. All right, my friend. So thanks again for everything today. Thanks to Jay Flannelly and thanks to Mick Calagio. And we back tomorrow, right? 7 a.m. Full show tomorrow from 7 to 10. So have a great and safe rest of your Wednesday, everybody. And tomorrow is May 1st. Angel Martinez, May 1st, which means we're 4 days closer to Cinco de Mayo. Another day to go out partying.
Yeah, and then 24 days to the double nickels.
Yes. And by the way, the Kentucky Derby's this weekend, too. Let's not forget that.
Oh, wait a minute. Are you going to try and get your guy on?
My guy, Gus Alonso, I've already going to reach out to him. I'm going to do that right after the show. He'll come on. And he's fantastic. One of the best horse handicappers in the world. So anyway. All right, Angel. Great stuff today, as always. Thank you for everything. And we'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. right here on the Coastal Sports Network. I am Pete. See ya.